Hi there, it's Paulie here. Yay! So, I did a review last month about a game that was a spin-off of Monsters, and I said, oh, this is really the first spin-off of Monsters that I've seen. Some of the Monsters designers and major enthusiasts like, yay, it is not so, look, I did this. And indeed, they sent them to me for review. So, caveat, these have been sent to me for review, but they're great. I'm very glad they did. So thank you guys. Thank you very much for sending these to me. I had a great time with them. So, this one's really interesting. The Lovecraft Variant. This is a golden oldie. I had never actually heard of this. So this comes from magazine articles from the 70s after Tunnels and Trolls and Monsters had come out, but before Call of Cthulhu. Someone wanted to do a set of rules for H.P. Lovecraft gaming. So they did articles in a magazine on how to use the Monsters game system to play Cthulhu Mythos investigative horror role-playing games. So yeah, like I said, predates Call of Cthulhu. And this is a splendid piece of work. So, it's got the system in here. You don't need Monsters to play it. So, it's not a setting. It is, in fact, a whole game in this little thing. Monsters. So, how this works. It's the Tunnels and Trolls style game system. So you have characteristics which are rolled on 3d6. However, if when you're rolling them you come up triples, 3 numbers on the dice that are the same, you keep that score and roll again, adding it to what you've made. If that came up triples, keep it and keep rolling, so you can have like really maxed out their characteristics. Tunnels and Trolls come Monsters. The thing is, characteristics weren't set the way they were with D&D. How it expressed experience was your characteristics climb higher and higher and higher. So your starting character has basically got its characteristics the lowest they'll ever be. That's the climb to glory. Increases characteristics. The core mechanism is a saving roll, which is used for skills and also saving rolls. So if you want to shoot at someone, you're rolling a dexterity saving roll to hit them. If someone shoots at you and you're trying to desperately dodge out of the way, dexterity saving roll to dodge out of the way. You're trying to spot a trap, that'll be a perception or intelligence saving roll, or a luck saving roll to avoid the stone block falling from the ceiling, an endurance saving roll to not be poisoned, etc. These are all done on 2d6. And what you're doing is you've got a base number, which changes by the kind of difficulty of the saving roll. So a level 1 saving roll has a base number of 20, etc., etc., etc. So what you're doing is you are taking 2d6 and you're rolling them and you're adding them to the requisite characteristic. So if I have an intelligence of 10 and I'm trying to do a first level saving roll for intelligence, I need to roll 2d6 and add that to my 10, and I'm looking for a 20. So I'm going to need a 10 or higher. However, if you roll doubles, you keep the number and roll it again, adding. And if those are doubles, it continues to escalate. So if I am looking for my 20 and I've got 10 intelligence and I roll 2 dice and I get double 4s. Ooh, I've got 18 and yeah, definitely going to be a pass. Pretty simple system to grasp there. Tunnels and Trolls and Monsters was always more about the story than about niggling rules, which was its strength. And that's why it makes a great Call of Cthulhu role-playing thing. Combat was always done missile combat. You're rolling a saving roll to hit your target. You're rolling a number of dice depending on the power of the weapon. It'll tell you how many damage dice it rolls. Armor subtracts from the damage, and the remainder comes off the hit points of the target, which is basically its constitution, its endurance. You comes off the characteristic. If you are in hand-to-hand combat, basically you both roll an amount of dice depending on the weapons. There are bonuses depending on your characteristics. If your characteristics are above average, you add 1 point for each point they are above average, so for each point above 12, or use it for the set ones that affect hand-to-hand, which is strength and luck and dexterity. But if those are below average, you subtract 1 from your roll. So if you're very weak and puny and not very lucky, then that affects. So fair enough. And then the higher total subtracts a lower total from it, and the remainder goes as damage on the loser. So if something's really huge and muscled and got 400 fangs and it's got multiple chainsaws and so on, yeah, you might want to look at it and say, no, I'm not going mano a mano with that. Armed with my penknife, I am in fact going to run that way. Probably a good choice in Call of Cthulhu. So, what these guys did, well, they set up a thing where you create a character, you get your character attributes, you can choose effectively kind of a class that you go. So you could be, now all this stuff echoes in the later, much later, Call of Cthulhu. You can go dilettantes. You can go researchers. You can be occult researchers. You can be academics. All these different things. They give you different starting resources, different money, and different skills, lists of skills, things that you know and can do. You pick a suite of skills and abilities from these, purchase some stuff, and straight into the scenarios. Off we go. So a nice, simple way of doing it. Now, what they then done is done an array of Cthulhuoid Mythos primer. And this is for a period where it wasn't as common knowledge as it is now. So they go over what the basis of Lovecraftian style adventures were, what the mythos is, older gods and elder beings. Sometimes the relationship between those wasn't well defined by Lovecraft originally, and often some of the Lovecraftian stuff that you'll see, it doesn't handle it very well. But yeah, there's actually a difference. Elder gods and other gods are separate things, and they don't like each other. This sort of thing. Then he goes into the different gods and so on, what they are, what their worshippers are, what their worshippers are often trying to achieve, what kind of creatures gather and spawn around them and so on. And then it's got a list of Lovecraftian creatures, the things we've come to know and love. There's some things that I like here. So they've got like sorcerers in as a creature, and yet they're saying in Lovecraft's books, sorcerers are never good. Magic is corrupting. People will be, often these sorcerers might be someone that was trying to do something that seemed good. Bring a loved one back from the dead, stop a plague from spreading, somehow achieve knowledge so that that terrible mistake that killed their family will never happen again. But it always corrupts them so that now they're out there killing people to drain their essence to keep their loved one alive, or now they're sucking the knowledge out of people's brains, or it's always bad. So sorcerers are in there as one of the major monsters that you can fight. Things that weren't emphasized very strongly in kind of the more familiar Call of Cthulhu. So look, thoroughly playable. They're all some of these things. Some of them aren't statted out because they've said this thing's just, it's not something you can fight. Just no stats for Cthulhu. It's just this giant thing, and deep ones and so on. They say, okay, well, look, sometimes they interbreed with people who look initially like an ugly human, but become more and more fish-like. So at the human stage, you can give them human stats from the human sections and so on. We've got a list of stats for police and thugs and hobos and cultists and soldiers and warriors and so on. Pick those, and as they become more fish-like, all right, here's some stats for the fish. So and again, the stats are pretty clear and simple. And yeah, with that, they have just given you a full suite of equipment that you need to do HP Lovecraft Adventures, but all in this rather slim volume. It's all there. Like I said, I was not aware of this thing's existence, and I, and I was back there. Probably because it appeared in magazines that, frankly, we didn't get out here. But nice to see it. Nice to see it in print. And I think it deserves its proper place kind of in the pantheon of gaming, because this would be the first real horror role-playing game. It predates anything else aimed specifically at horror that I've seen. It's got some really nice fear rules in it, by the way. One thing I like in it is that when you see, one of the problems with Call of Cthulhu, old Call of Cthulhu in particular, was that they had this sanity thing. And, when you see things that affects your sanity, but you got ridiculous stuff because the only way was down. Your character is going to be just insane or dead, probably at the end of one adventure. Whereas this game is more sustainable. But when someone with skill and intelligence sees something, they can say they want to see if they can see the greater significance. So if somebody finds some weird old book, for instance, instead of saying, I'm not touching this, will cost me sanity, it's actually worth reading, because you can read it and the player can say, so does this give me any insight into the greater meaning of what's happening here in the scenario? You make a roll against that person's intelligence. Now, if they succeed, the umpire then tells me, yes, these are probably Migo. They're these fungi from Yuggoth. That's probably what's happening here. They're stealing people's brains. They get or, oh my God, the ugly people in this village are the fish people. The horror. When you make that realization, you have to make a fear roll, because cosmic implications, etc. The fear rolls are just a simple roll. You have to essentially see if it really kind of smites you down. You see if you can resist the fear. It's a saving roll. And if you do resist the fear, then fine. If not, there are effects. And those can be a sudden desire to flee the area. They can be a heightened paranoia. They can be constant anxiety attacks. They can be absolute screaming, ravening paranoia to an extent where you no longer trust anybody, and but it can go all the way down to you just die of fright, or you attack other players thinking that they're all in, or player characters thinking that they are all in cahoots with evil, or whatever. So it can get quite dire, and that comes off a little bonus that adds to the dice, depending on just how intensely horrifying this is. So if someone else wants to know the greater significance, you can communicate it to them, but they have to make a fear saving throw as well. Oh my God, the villagers are the fish people. I'm going to keep that one to myself, because, But if one of the other players, what was the greater significance? You got to tell me. Well, I don't want to tell it to everyone, because then everyone's got to make a roll. Oh, well, I want to know. Just whisper it to my character. Okay. They're all fish people. Oh, okay. Oh, God, now I've got to make a fear thing. So, but, that's kind of a nice way of handling it. But there are kind of little grasps of greater significance as, you realise, wait, the paintings on these walls must have been painted by the ghouls themselves. Or, all these kind of little extra bits of, and it gives you those kind of cosmic horror moments that I think I wasn't really seeing in original Call of Cthulhu. Plus, it doesn't kind of wipe your character out. You're not always ending up in a sodding asylum or whatever. You can. Some of the fear effects basically can make you a gibbering idiot and so on, in which case you have to go into ye rest home, and there's a little roll that you just do, and it sort of says, okay, well, maybe you'll get out in a month or two and you'll be fine, or maybe you will get out, but you've blanked out the memory of that whole adventure. So any experience that you would have gotten from that adventure, you haven't gotten. Or you're a ravening loony and you actually escape. as part of the next adventure you're playing, that character is out. Or, you are told, hey, your friend got out. He was saying something about, the evil must be burned out. The evil must be burned. Only flame can purify. It's like, oh God, we've got to stop him. Yeah, he's gonna go and set fire to something. Quick, we've got to find him. So, it becomes part of the role playing of the actual game. So, so quite a lively idea, I thought. So anyway, look, I really do think this deserves to be recognised in its place as, a foundation document. This was horror role playing, and this was pretty much the first, as far as I can see. There was no reason why you couldn't do horror role playing with D&D or Brownstein or any of those, but this was designed for it. So kudos to the designers. Thank you very, very much for viewers for sending this in to me. It's fantastic work and very playable. Anyway, Diddy, the Lovecraft variant. Love it. So, thank you very much once again. Guys, if you like the reviews, please hit like, hit subscribe, find me on Patreon. Please find me on Patreon. And I will keep doing the reviews. Keep gaming, keep laughing. I'll see you all at the gaming table. Cheers.